Got some bad news. Today is February 3rd. And the 1st, so 2 days ago, my garage was broken into and robbed. So it stole all of my tools. So construction on the boat has come to a complete halt. I have the first frame and second frame and the transom all completed and everything, but I can't really fasten anything really accurately, or they stole my all of my hardware, so all of my silicon bronze fasteners and my 3/16 steel ring shank nails and everything got stolen. They left my outboard motor because they probably thought it was broken or something, because I was working on the starter motor. Didn't touch the lumber or anything. But yeah, they stole all my tools, so won't be able to do anything with that. Won't be having a video probably for a while until I get that sorted out, so yeah. See you guys. All right, it's January 22nd. Haven't been recording a ton because it's just been me sanding down everything and fairing everything out. It's not incredibly interesting, although I probably should, because some people might be interested in something like that, especially if they're going to be building something like this. I'll probably show a little tips in this video on how I've been doing this. So far I have adhered the gussets to frame number 1 and attached them and nailed them and epoxied them and everything. All that's left to do for frame number 1 is just fairing it out a little bit more and then coating it in a protective epoxy coating. I have done half of frame number 2. And so this video I'll show you how I have been epoxying these. I've been doing it in my basement. I got a cold weather hardener, but it was extremely cold the last couple weeks. It's actually snowed here in Seattle, so I haven't been able to get a high enough temperature to actually do this effectively. So I've just been doing it on this little tiny workbench, which is not enough space to be doing this. I didn't expect it to get that cold. So I will show you the progress I've made so far, and then some tips and tricks on how I did make this go a little bit easier, some mistakes that I made that I think I'll be able to fix, and then what's next. Oh, and then I guess I'll show you the motor I got. So yeah, so this is frame number 1. I've been using just the leftover epoxy from my laminating or adhering just to coat this. So I still need to coat the gussets in epoxy, but I'm going to wait to do that. I'll probably do that today. I'll do this today, but I need to make sure this is all flat and on the same plane. And then this is just some Samsonite that got epoxy on it and just won't come off, so I'll just have to sand that down. No big deal. But the order I do my frames in is that I'll cut them out, sand them down, make sure that the curve is nice and smooth, cut out the gusset, place them together, and then I'll pre-drill holes, and that is so I can drive some little finishing nails into them to hold them in place onto the gussets so they don't move around. I guess they move around a lot on the epoxy. And then epoxy them down, nail it down, clamp it. And I don't have enough space in here to do a ton of epoxying. I've been doing it in my basement because the weather's been too cold to do it in the garage. And it's a detached garage, so it's not heated, and which is kind of a bummer. It slows everything down because I can only do so much with this much workspace. And then, yeah, so I will probably show you guys epoxying this, and then I'll take the frame number 1 and sand it down, make sure all of the edges are smooth and everything, and I'll show you guys how I do that. Yeah, it should be good. So before I get into sanding and stuff, I wanted to show you the outboard I got. It's a 1988 28. I don't know what SPL means, but it's a 28 horsepower Johnson. Didn't come with throttle cables or anything, but it's shifting, and I can spin where the prop should be. There's no prop, so I'll have to buy a new prop. It's shifting. It's got its steering linkage, so I'll need to do that. The carb seems pretty good. It's missing an airbox, which the guy said it ran without it fine. The starter motor is almost brand new, like it's really new. The solenoid is pretty good. I've tested the connections and everything, and it looks fine. So the only thing is I don't have a gas tank, steering wheel, throttle control, or a starter battery. So I haven't been able to fire this bad boy up. But even if there's something small wrong with it, it was free. And I was gonna have to redo throttle cables and steering control anyway, because it's a custom boat and it's not gonna be anywhere near standard. Any of my connections aren't gonna be standard at all. So pretty excited about that. It's kind of raggedy, but what can you expect from a free boat? So I know you're thinking 28 horsepower. The Squirt is only rated, or it's supposed to be up to a 10 horsepower engine, which I looked online and they're around 40 pounds. This bad boy weighs 135 pounds. So I'm gonna have to do a lot of modification to the transom here. And I'll talk a little bit about that later. I've already made 3 knees instead of the 1 knee that usually goes in the middle. So I'll have one here, and one over here. I have been using this $2 electric corded drill with a wire brush attachment in order to get the smooth kind of getting rid of a ton of material when part of the lamination was too proud. And it's been working really well. Then smoothing it out with some 120 grit and then going up to 220 grit when I'm epoxying stuff, and that's been working really well. One big bummer is though, my dad has about 5 orbital sanders, and the one that I took, this one, is the only one that doesn't work. So I've been procrastinating driving 15 minutes to go grab one from his garage that actually works. Which means it's been fine. Sanding is kind of fun. The Squirt is designed for up to a 10 horsepower engine, and I'm using a 28 horsepower. I'm gonna have to do a lot to this transom here to make sure that it doesn't get ripped off, because no one wants that. I'm gonna have to modify where the cockpit is gonna go. I've already added 2 transom knees to the design, and then this is a 20-inch shaft, which is 5 inches longer than the transom here. So I've been looking online at suggestions, and I'll show you a couple of plans and ideas that I have to remedy that situation. So yeah, I'm gonna start sanding everything out, and I'll show you guys how I do that with the wire brush, and then I'll epoxy that, and then I might be able to cut out some of the frames for the transom. I'm kind of waiting on doing the transom stuff because I want to make sure that I do it right so I don't rip off the transom with this big bad boy.